This week on the Rochester Press Box from Salvatore's Pizzeria at the historic Garage Door Restaurant.
I'm Dan Fetes, and I'm going to tell you why the Sabres rebuilding process might be worse than we originally thought, and I don't trust Tim Murray just yet.
And I'm John DiTullio, and I'll explain if you build it, they may not come.
And I'm Mike Catalana. I'll tell you that Tim Murray, the Sabres GM, has a brother in the NBA.
And I'm Bill Pucko with Mike Hessman's 247th. Join us this weekend on the Rochester Press Box. The Rochester Press Box is brought to you by Salvatore's at the Garage Door, Rochester's choice winner for Best Pizzeria, featuring Wacky Wing Wednesday and the Super Slice. It's as big as your head. The games are always on at the Garage Door, home to the Rochester Press Box. Hi everyone, and welcome to the Rochester Press Box here from Salvatore's Pizzeria at the historic Garage Door Restaurant. Bill Pucko with you, John DiTullio, WHTK.
Billy, good to be back.
In his summer suit.
Once in a while, about twice, 3 times a year tops.
So give me the line. What'd you say about it?
It's a spot starter. It's a spot starter. More of a long relief, but once in a while, if we're going to play 2, this is a jacket to go to.
All right, it's a good choice. Mike Catalana?
Yeah, he looks like he came from the club. Maybe the yacht club?
Schnells. Wait, Smells from...
Schmales.
What's the movie?
Judge Schmales from
Schmales
Caddyshack.
from Caddyshack. That's a band law that I got to know that.
This is like movie week for you. And Dan Fetes joins us from the high school sports beat. Danny, welcome back.
Thanks for having me.
Hey, we spent a lot of time, you're a baseball guy, baseball player,
Right.
college level, talking about unwritten rules in baseball. We kick these around a lot. Well, it was like a different one that I didn't think we saw applied this week. Mike Napoli, the game-winning home run off Tanaka for the Yankee-Red Sox game last week, goes around the bases. It's a big moment. It's a 2-1 game. It turns out to be the game-winning hit. He gets into his own dugout, and the camera's picking up saying, what an idiot, in regard to Tanaka and his pitch selection. How proper is that?
And I think Tanaka handled it well. Tanaka came out and said, he can say what he wants in his dugout, because a lot of that stuff gets said in the dugouts. If shortstop makes a couple errors, we all kind of murmur around in the dugout, hey, get it to the shortstop. If you beat one into the ground, the shortstop, hustle it out because he's got the yips or doesn't have it today. You talk about all the other times, too. Intentionally walking a guy to get to somebody else. Whenever that happened to me, I used to feel so disrespected. I used to tell my teammates, and it's a big mistake they just made. Big mistake. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's having a little confidence. And Napoli's probably going, I can't believe how great of a pitcher this guy is. Leaves him a cookie like that.
Yeah, and probably say, I can't believe I said that and got caught saying it.
Yeah, but I'm totally with Dan. He's well within his rights to say it in his dugout. The world's a different place that way because between the cameras and the microphones and all, you're going to pick up almost anything. And sometimes it's out of context. I think this was in context, but that's fine. He was an idiot for throwing him that pitch. The guy's phenomenal. He had no reason to give him anything, especially a fastball to hit, and he did. And I'm guessing, in whatever way Tanaka says it in his own mind, he probably says, I'm an idiot, like Phil Mickelson said at the end of that U.S. Open. What an idiot I am when he hit the driver and knocked it out of bounds and cost himself an Open. I think Tanaka knew, and I think he handled it right.
He is an idiot. He never should have thrown it. You got a guy hitting below the Mendoza line behind him.
Way below.
But there's a thing that all of us have, and Tanaka has, Napoli has. It's called ego.
Yeah.
It's called an ego. I'm not pitching around Mike Napoli. David Ortiz, Paso. I'm not pitching around Mike Napoli to get to Steven Drew.
In a 1-1 game with 2 outs.
In a 1-1 game, and it's 2 outs, and Tanaka feels I'm the best pitcher in baseball. I don't care I kind of appreciate Tanaka's bravado on the pitch, but then again, Steven Drew is hitting behind him, who stinks right now.
Explain this one to me. The other day, I'm watching the Yankees-Red Sox. It was on a Sunday night, and Ortiz is up. Runners at first and third, 2 outs. If it's second and third, they walk him. 2 outs, they pitch to him, and he hits a 3-run homer. And they actually gave him a pitch to hit. Why are you pitching to him then?
I know.
Are you that worried? I mean, to load the bases?
Well, the difference statistically is pushing a runner into scoring position if you walk him at first
He's already
and
in
third.
second and third. The guy's already in scoring position. This way, at least.
So you're more concerned with the single.
There's one guy in the Boston lineup that scares every Yankee fan. His name is David Ortiz. It was Manny Ramirez. It's now David Ortiz.
Could be Mookie Betts.
Except there's nothing wrong with pitching around a guy. Or you do the intentional walk.
Well, that was what I was thinking, right?
You throw 3 curveballs outside in the other batter's box, hope he chases it, otherwise you let him go.
Well, last thing as far as that's concerned, the Napoli whole thing, don't you think it says more about Tanaka really than it does Napoli having said it, and Tanaka's reacting like a real pro?
Yeah, he took the high road. And Napoli's got an ego too. I can't believe he threw that pitch to me. Does he know who I am? That kind of thing. I kind of like it, but you're right. I mean, stuff being picked up in the dugout. There's a lot worse stuff being said that we don't hear.
Absolutely.
This kid, that pitcher stinks. He's got a pus arm. That stuff's being said. We just don't pick it up.
I've had my coach say things like that in the third base box, saying, hit it to the shortstop, guys, in the middle of a game, and the shortstop was an All-American. There's worse things being said.
Alrighty. NBA talk when we return. Hi again, everyone. Salvatore's Pizzeria at the Garage Door Restaurant, hosting the Rochester Press Box here. Bill with John, Dan, and Mike. NBA, the offseason has been pretty fascinating. LeBron wants a max contract. What's this do to Miami first?
Well, first of all, I don't know. It depends on, Wade and Bosh are going to have to take a lot less money. It may hamstring them if they want to go out and get like a Kyle Lowry. I don't know how much money Pat Riley's going to have to play with. Because LeBron's taking a lot of heat for what? Wanting the most money of any player? I mean, for his entire career, if we get the stat right, he's never been the highest paid player on his team. That's a joke. Pay the guy. I don't know if I'm LeBron, can Pat Riley finagle the cap and you've got an owner who doesn't want to pay luxury tax about getting players in there that are going to help him. They got Shabazz Napier, who I love, but they're going to have to go out and get another player, whether it's a backup point guard or a starting point guard, or they have to get some size inside. They can't go into another year with Birdman in the middle. And Chris Bosh is in the center. They need help in the middle, and I believe they need another score, at least from the perimeter.
Well, juggle the numbers. If LeBron gets max, which I believe is $22 million, it's $7 more than he took last year. There's $7 million less able to get these people around him.
If I was LeBron James, I would wear a badge of honor that I was never the highest paid player on the team. Everybody knows he's the best player.
And try to be that guy.
Well, and he's making a triple the fortune outside of the game. What do you want? If he just said, I want the money, what are there? 29 other teams, basically, or 20 some other teams that would give him the max. They would do whatever they could to get him on the team if that's all he wanted. I don't think that's what he wants. I mean, I know they're saying he's going for the max money. I don't know if that's part of negotiating. I think he wants to win. I think the guy who could end up getting pushed out ends up still being Wade. I mean, Wade opted out of that deal, and if things fall apart with Miami, for some reason with LeBron, and LeBron says, I'm going to Phoenix, or wherever he says he's going, either Wade's on that train with him going.
I don't think it's out of line for LeBron to say, I deserve the most money, guys. I deserve the max deal. You guys figure it out. If you guys want to win, I'm going to get my max money here, and I'm going to get what's deserved.
But in that case, I don't like him going for the max money if it impacts what he's trying to do, which is to have those players with him, whether it's Lowry, Dang, whoever they're trying to bring in there. He needs help if he wants to win.
Well, it's like you said, what a great footnote it would be to end your career having said, I was never the highest paid guy on the team.
And you have a bazillion dollars when you're done anyhow because he's LeBron James.
Hey, and the way things are done in the NBA these days, I mean, these three guys got together, decided what they were going to do, and they present as a group. I mean, they're running the team. It's not Pat Riley. They're running the team.
Well, good luck. I mean, if I'm Pat Riley, I don't know how he pulls this off. Wade may be on his way out. Maybe Bosh ends up in Dallas. I don't know what's going to happen. My guess was a week ago or a few days ago, this was a lock. I'm not that all three would come back. I just don't see how it happens if LeBron gets the max deal. It's impossible to bring everybody back.
Well, and let's be honest, it ain't no big three. The big three is that it is the big one. Whatever Pat Riley's got to do to keep the big one there, LeBron. And if he wants the other two, so be it. If Bosh goes, you can replace Bosh, you can replace Wade, you cannot replace LeBron.
Like it or not, when we return.
President Obama was at the Baseball Hall of Fame and Museum in Cooperstown this week.
These are drunken, young knuckleheads.
They just have too much going against them. Kelly Johnson's not the answer at first base.
I like him. This past week, I hated him. Is he the best player in the National League right now? Absolutely, 100%.
And this is such a great story, the story that keeps on giving.
There are those who look at things the way they are and ask why. I dream of things that never were and ask why not.
Welcome back to Salvatore's Pizzeria at the Garage Door Restaurant. This is the Rochester Press Box. We invite you to sample some of the Salvatore's family of food. They have, of course, Donuts Delight, and 4 locations now are the Arthur Treacher restaurants. Like it or not, Michael, the in the middle of all of this,
Right.
the Sabres draft.
Yeah. Well, I mean, again, we don't know how good these guys are going to be. But, for example, Samson Reinhart, I think, is universally praised as talented, mature kid. He's only 18 years old.
Sam Reinhart.
But a lot can happen. And this is where the key is going to be. Can they develop him properly and put him in the right spot to be a long-term great player for them, and then add him with all these other young players they've had? Because I think sometimes, as we've seen, some of these guys come in and they have that maturity, and it's great. You think, wow, they can handle it a little bit. And then look at Tyler Myers and the way he started out, very mature. They kept him right up there with the team, and then he took about 2 steps back. I think this kid is mature. I think the draft, again, from the outside, people are saying that he did a pretty good job with this. They have so many young players. What they're going to need is veteran guys in that organization who want to be there, who want to help these young guys grow and get paid while they're doing it. And I think that's what would help these young guys a lot.
And one of these guys might be Gianna?
Well, at 30, at the right price, they traded Briere, so maybe Gianta stays back in Montreal. I would bring in Gianta for a 2-year deal if the price is right. He could be a Chris Drury type, who we saw with the Sabres back in the 06-07 years. But this team, I'm with Mike. You never know how it's going to pan out, but on paper, their talent, they're young players. They're being compared to Chicago Blackhawks. I read this yesterday, on Tuesday.
Tear it all down, right?
What they have in their farm system.
Tear it all down and build it from scratch.
Yeah.
Start over.
All righty. Like it or not, Danny, Wimbledon.
I like Wimbledon. I've always been a tennis fan. I know that sounds weird. I've always liked the U.S. Open. That's my mom's dream, to go to the U.S. Open. I hope to someday take her there. Just a great atmosphere. Wimbledon's much more proper, a little more snooty, as John DiTullio would say. But, going back and forth, obviously doesn't have as much publicity right now. Federer hasn't been as good. Murray is, the hometown kid. He won it last year, so it's kind of like that hype's a little bit over. But obviously you have the World Cup. You have this NBA and LeBron. And you got this, the Sabres draft going on too a little bit. There's just more going on than people care about.
And all the Americans are out of it. Even the Williams sisters are gone.
Yeah, I think it would be a better term if they let the Americans enter, right?
Nicely delivered.
Are there any? Who's the American man?
Nobody.
I mean, they're just not. And the Williams sisters, you almost forget just how great they have been through that period of time. But when they're gone,
We got spoiled for many years with Connors and McEnroe, and then later on with Agassi and Sampras.
even if you look
great
at guys
American
like
players,
even
Connors,
even Jim Courier. I mean, guys like that who were at least in there now.
Even Boris Becker. I mean, there were flamboyant players that drew you to the TV. Now, I'm not saying anything from Nadal or Federer, but we've seen that match a million times. And as Fetes said, we're watching soccer right now. I don't think Wimbledon or tennis in general has never been more irrelevant than it is in 2014.
And it's so American-centric, too. I mean, if we don't have a representative there, we're not that interested. John, like it or not, what Jason Kidd did.
I mean, listen, baseball gets ripped for all the unwritten rules. This is one unwritten rule of just basic business or life. Never go after a job that somebody already has. The guy has baggage from his playing days at Cal, with Dallas, off the court, on the court. What he did, I didn't think he was a good coach to begin with. I think this is the best move for Brooklyn. Go out and get now a legitimate head coach, whether it's Lionel Hollins or Mark Jackson. If I'm Brooklyn, I'm ecstatic I got rid of Jason Kidd. He wanted out of there 1 year, now he wants to take Billy King's job, who's done a pretty good job as their general manager there. The guy's a goof. I think he's a snake.
And a year ago, what?
I mean, how much was he coaching with Garnett and Pierce and those guys, Joe Johnson? Those guys know how to run the team. How much was Jason Kidd minus spilling a cup on himself to really delay the game? How great of a coach was he? He was built pieces around him. He did okay. But now to say I want a front office position and I want to be an executive, who are you to say that?
Tight with the owner of the Bucks, who then kicks Larry Drew out of the situation.
Here's the danger you have with these guys leaving right from playing to coaching. They still have that player's ego, financially too. I mean, let's face it. If you're making $5 million in the NBA, you're like at the end of your career, right? That's like the mid-level exemption. $5 million as a coach is big money now, is what they pay. So you get a guy like him, he's making $2 million with the player ego that you still have, because you haven't paid your dues as a coach.
No.
They go in and think, I got to get paid. I got to get more. And he goes to Milwaukee. Good luck with that in Milwaukee.
Well, he saw Fisher. He saw Jackson and Fisher get money. Not Fisher, Kerr and Fisher. He wanted to get paid. Good riddance. I think it's a great move. Great move for Brooklyn.
Boy, and they need some draft picks after Danny Ainge fleeced them in those deals with the Celtics.
Yeah.
Because Brooklyn is they have nothing going forward for first-round picks because Boston took them all.
You're not going to rebuild on 2 seconds, I don't think.
No.
Though. Unfinished business when we return. Welcome back to the Rochester Press Box here from Salvatore's Pizzeria at the historic Garage Door Restaurant. Wacky Wings Wednesday, good beer and chicken wing specials, live music on Friday, and coming up soon, trivia featuring John DiTullio on Thursday. Unfinished business, John.
We were just talking earlier about tennis, and Wimbledon's never been more irrelevant. Well, speaking of irrelevant, the Rochester Rhinos, and really Salem Stadium. I was there last Saturday. I love that place. I went there for Hall of Fame night. The highlight for me was hearing Scott Schweitzer deliver about a 10-minute speech. It was food there is fantastic. The venue is fantastic. But the Rhinos don't do anything to get you down there. There's no entertainment going on during timeouts. Really, other than what goes on at halftime for the Hall of Fame, what I've been told, nothing else really happens at halftime either. Talking to the ushers, no problems whatsoever. The problems around Salem Stadium happen when there's nothing going on, like on a Tuesday or Wednesday night. So the perception is bad things happen down there. I'll tell you what bad things are happening on the field. The Rhinos are unwatchable. It's bad soccer. It's third-level soccer from the MLS. Salem Stadium and the Rhinos need to get together and have an event down there every Friday and Saturday night, even when the Rhinos or Rattlers aren't playing. Because when they are playing, no one's coming to watch them. If you have a good product, I've learned this in business, if you have a good product, people want to see it, listen to it, and watch it. The Rhinos don't have it. And another problem is the scoreboard. The scoreboard has chicken pox. What I mean by that, this big scoreboard they have, Videotron, has red dots on it. The city's responsibility is to take care of that scoreboard. The mayor may want to get on that. It's been a few weeks since that scoreboard's been down.
Cost them an opportunity to hold a World Cup party down there.
Where's the World Cup party other than having it at a local bar? Have it at Salem Stadium. They need to make it a point of destination. It'd be nice if they fix the scoreboard. The Rhinos' glory days are over unless they get back to playing good soccer. Those teams back in the late 90s, they were good. That was A-League. It was right below the MLS. This league stinks.
Oh, the party on a much smaller scale is pretty nicely thrown here by Soccer Sam. Danny?
Well, in the midst of the NBA free agency and the World Cup fever, there was the NHL draft and there was the NHL free agency. And GM for the Sabres, Tim Murray, made another bold move. And everybody seems to love it, and I'm not so sure. I'm not buying in just yet, and I'm starting to think the Sabres rebuild is going to be worse than we originally thought. Defenseman Christian Ehrhoff gave his peace of mind and said that he wasn't really excited to be part of a team that was willing to start over. Can you blame him? He's a 31-year-old defenseman that in his 3 years with Buffalo, he had 0 playoff appearances, 3 coaches, and 2 GMs. Who really wants to be part of a rebuild, and the Sabres could possibly lose 50 games this year? So Tim Murray's motto has always been, if they don't want to be here, we're going to get them out. So he buys up Christian Ehrhoff's contract. Unfortunately, if that's the motto and that's the way Buffalo's going to go, they might have 20 AHL players that nobody wants to watch and go and see play. So now they're $20 million under the cap, and Murray now has to finagle his way and may have to overpay for players just to get below the cap floor. And he might have to buy fourth-line level talent and pay him second-line price. The last time we did that, our former GM, we didn't like him very much for overpaying for contracts. I'm not so sure with Tim Murray. I'm not trusting him just yet.
Mike?
Well, I'm going to go off of what you were talking about with Tim Murray. And he has a brother, we'll say, in Sam Hinkie of the 76ers. Very similar. Kind of goofy a little bit, right? Both of them, they like it. They like to be perceived that way. They like to be kind of quiet about what they're doing. And then when they talk, they're usually pretty honest about it. And Sam Hinkie of the 76ers is kind of taking the same approach as Tim Murray. Strip it down. I mean, way down. I mean, draft guys who aren't going to play or can't play right away because you think the long-term payoff is that great. This year in the draft, the Sixers had the 3rd pick and the 10th pick. They draft a guy who can't play because he's hurt, Joel Embiid, and they draft a guy 10th, Dario Saric, who is going to be back in Europe for 2 years. But they're looking at it in the same way I think Murray's looking at it. I'm not worried about this year. If you can't stomach it, tough, because it hasn't been good. It's not going to be good now, but we think the long-term payoff is going to be good. And in the NBA, if you can buy LeBron and you can buy Carmelo, you can win. But if you can't, you better do it by accumulating great players. Portland did it in the draft, and they look like they got a monster brewing there. The 76ers are trying to do it. Just the payoff is going to be long, and it's going to be a little bit painful, like the Sabres.
Toughest place to play baseball is AAA. When we go out and see these guys play at Frontier Field, we have really no grasp on the anxiety these guys feel every at-bat, every inning, having either been to the major leagues or getting real close to the major leagues and wondering if they'll ever reattain that goal. It's hard to distinguish yourself in AAA. One guy did this last week. His name is Mike Hessman of the Toledo Mud Hens. Hessman hit home run number 247 in his International League career. He's 36 years old. He eclipsed the former mark held by Ollie Carnegie, a Buffalo Bisons legend who played in the 30s and, get this, didn't start his AAA career until he was 32 years old. When Hessman came off the field and at the end of the game, his Toledo Mud Hens teammates gave him a Gatorade and champagne shower. These are teammates who certainly appreciate the accomplishment, but definitely don't envy it. We record the Rochester Press Box here every Wednesday afternoon at 12:30. We invite you to come down, have lunch, meet the guys. Thanks again, John.
Billy,
good job.
Good stuff today.
Mike,
Good to be
Dan,
here.
good to have you back. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you next week.